Hello, my fellow adventurers in agility. In Critical Role's second campaign, Matt Mercer said the party successfully killed a villain that he planned to be a recurring enemy. The asshole was named Lorenzo, and he had previously killed Molly, one of the player characters. So the party already had a big reason to hate him, and he was about to flee from the party, but a lucky stunning strike made him vulnerable to being unalived. If you were the DM, and be honest, would you be tempted to give him plot armor? Would you be tempted to give him more HP mid-battle just to make sure he escapes? Or maybe you wouldn't quite go that far, but would your armpits get so wet at the thought that a major NPC is about to be taken off the board when you didn't intend it? So, how did Matt recover from this? I don't know, we've not talked to each other in a while. Or ever. But I can help you keep your pits dry if you were in a similar situation. Jarek, what is this magical deodorant slash antiperspirant? Well, keeping in mind our two mottos from the last video of maximizing work not done and what doesn't matter doesn't get planned, I present to you the story map Backbone. If I were in Matt's shoes, the battle that brought Lorenzo to an untimely end happened during a user story like, as the Mighty Nine, we want to defeat the asshole Lorenzo so that we can rescue our friends. And as I was preparing to make a whole rescue mission scenario, I would think, Lorenzo has the party all riled up. He could be a delicious recurring villain. If they are able to bring him down low enough, he should flee, and then I can set up some conflicts with him down the line. And that's it. At the moment of Lorenzo's death, that's as far as I would have already planned for him. The end. No sweat. You see, my hypothesis is that those unseemly pit stains, they come from the pain you as the DM would feel from needing to throw away something you've sunk a huge amount of effort into. Imagine this. You just finished running your awesome D&D game. Something in the air just seems right. You pick up your phone, you swipe right on a few singles in your area, and almost immediately you get a match. You strike up a conversation, you ask them to go out with you on a date, and they say yes. You're so happy you go shopping. You buy a new set of clothes, even underwear, 'cause the ones you have are ratty and riddled with holes, but they're so comfy, so you don't want to throw them away. And then, on the day you're supposed to meet up, boom! Your party decides to unalive your date with a stunning strike and a firebolt. Won't you feel so bad? I mean, you bought new underwear, even put on some down there cologne. Imagine though if the only thing you did beforehand was text, "You up?" before your players took them out. Would still sting a bit. It was a rare match after all, but you would likely just go back to swiping right on other singles in your area. But Jarek, if I don't plan what happens next with Lorenzo, what do I plan in my game? Where does my overall narrative come from? Great question. If I were you and you were Matt Mercer, then in that situation Lorenzo would be just an element of a feature in my campaign. If the feature is important enough, then Lorenzo's death would not mean the end of it. Here, let's make an example. I'll step away from Lorenzo because I feel like I've already used up my Matt Mercer clickbait quota for this episode. Let's go back to the campaign idea from my previous video where you want to run a rags to ruler story for your players. We've already defined one main feature there. It was the epic about the Zentarim. As the Zentarim, we want to destabilize the government of Waterdeep so that we can be its true rulers. That's one well to draw from when you're brainstorming for user stories to run. But when you had the idea to run a campaign, it wasn't just the Zents, wasn't it? You had Jarlaxle, you had Grog and Pike, you had the Harpers. What do you want to do with them? Let's start with Jarlaxle, our sexy pirate in purple. Why would he show up in our game? Let's say we want him to be a significant actor, someone who could be an ally or could be an enemy. We don't know what, only that we want him to be there as a key player. It seems we need to give him a goal that is tangential to the party's rise to power, but not directly in support of or against it. So let's say we settle on As Jarlaxle, I want to be Laeral Silverhand's consort so that I can live in the lap of luxury and escape from my responsibilities to the Drow. By the way, Laeral Silverhand is for all intents and purposes Waterdeep's Prime Minister. If you remember that thing about masked lords, Laeral is the Open Lord. As for Grog and Pike, we think they're just fan service cameos, which means they won't be big overarching features of our campaign, so let's set them aside for now. Next are the Harpers. If you thought to yourself, easy, I can just say, as the Harpers we want to stop the Zhentarim from destabilizing the government of Waterdeep so that the city keeps its just rule. Then sure, it's a valid epic, but it's also drawing from the same well as the Zhentarim story. If you wanted them to be distinct, you need to come up with their own motivation that's independent from the first epic. Something like, as the Harpers, we want to eradicate the Zhentarim's presence in Waterdeep so that the city remains safe. Finally, let's say your players have made their characters. You've done your session 0, you saw that a player made a PC who fled from possessive parents because they wanted to marry them off to someone they didn't love. Let's say you're also very attracted to the player in real life, maybe your significant other, or you're trying to make them your significant other, and you thought to yourself, maybe if I made their backstory important to the game, they would make love to me in real life. Works every time. Well, whatever your motivation, you come up with the following epic. As PC1's parents, we want to retrieve PC1 so that we can marry them off to the wealthy lord who will save us from debt. These would now form the backbone of your campaign, at least for the moment. Draw them like an actual backbone. You can add epics down the line if new inspirations strike you, but for now you can stop. What's the use of this backbone then? Why, to generate user stories, of course. Every user story you create under each vertebra would be a scenario that you want to put in front of your PCs that would advance its parent epic. When do you create user stories for each epic then? Well, when you want to play with that theme. Sure, you can create a lot of stories ahead of time if the fancy strikes you, but then again, maximize the work not done. Here's how your planning might go. From your initial planning, meaning my first video, you created the user story about the Zhents stealing a MacGuffin from Mert. You played the session out and the result was that the PCs killed the entire Zhentarim thief squad and earned Mert's gratitude. Now you think, hey, Mert's a Harper. He's a good quest delivery system. Let's have him give the players a quest to infiltrate a Zhentarim safe house to get information about their main base of operations in Waterdeep so that the Harpers can mount an assault. That's what you want to play and the players have bought in. Do you need to think about Jarlaxle or PC1's parents? No, not yet. Leave them be. Plan your session and play it. Say your party succeeds in their mission, and you want to play with Jarlaxle next. You're wrapping up the Harper mission with your party relaxing in a tavern, and you decide to put Jarlaxle there so the party can get to know him. But what do you know? Your party decides to go all murder hobo on you, and they decide to kill the sexy pirate in purple. What's more, they somehow succeeded! Jarlaxle's dead now! You've just been Lorenzo'd. Tell me, given what you've prepared so far, on a scale between a mouthful of sand to a mouthful of something really, really moist, how wet are your armpits? Mine, bone dry. Fresh and fragrant. So what if Jarlaxle's sexy purple-wearing ass is dead? If his epic were important enough to you, your next task would be to make up a reason for him to get back on the board. But if you're too lazy to come up with the means to his resurrection, then it just means that his desire to make the Open Lord open up to becoming his boo will never happen. Dump Jarlaxle and dip your ladle into the wells of your other side base. Maybe this time you can give PC1's arranged marriage some attention. Here's a bonus benefit for organizing your campaigns and adventures this way. Every time you're preparing for a new adventure and you want to set up the initial conditions of the game board, you have a quick visual reminder of what has happened on an epic level and on an overall system level. Not only does your story map help you define new user stories to build adventures around, it will also help you keep your lore and your details consistent. Now, eagle-eyed agile practitioners would recognize that this may look like a story map, but it isn't exactly correct for the purposes of software development. Well, I'm still calling it a story map, but I welcome you to actually me in the comments. Any ideas on how an even more correct implementation of story mapping could help out with running a D&D or other TTRPG campaign? Hey, I'm Jarek, a dungeon master with a hobby in agile project management. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. If you liked what I brought, please like the video. Appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I drop the next one, where I'll try to answer the question, how can I drive my campaign towards a specific scene or moment? Until next time, my fellow adventurers in agility, bye.